Hello.
Hi, this is Josie from Volkswagen Group Canada.
Hey Josie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am good. Thank you very much for asking. And listen, thank you so much for being so patient and accommodating with my request. I appreciate that.
Oh, anytime, no problem. I'm calling you today, as you know, to do a brief phone screening with you to learn a little bit more about your background, walk through your experience, and hopefully answer any questions that you might have about the role.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm going to be taking notes during this process, so if I ask you to repeat any details, that's why. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's get started then. Would you want to walk me through your background and current role?
Absolutely. And I would dive right into it. This is the one role that I am truly excited about. And the reason why I say this is because it sits right at the intersection of two of the strongest parts of my career, which is premium automotive customer journey marketing and hands on content strategy that earns attention, build trust, and move people to act. So I have spent about 8 years of my career working for and within the luxury automotive world. I've worked for the BMW Group across India and Canada. And I believe that this gives me the discipline of premium luxury automotive. I've learned how brand, retail, service, ownership, CRM communications, and customer expectations need to all work together. I have lived inside that system and I worked across the customer journey and the customer life cycle from lead generation to customer retention. And some of the outcomes that I can share with you about my time with the BMW Group is that I have generated over 6 million in service revenue and 17% digital service growth at BMW Canada during my role as the lead for service retention at for BMW and Mini. And while I was at BMW India, where I was the marketing manager for the Mini brand, I was able to deliver 100% sales achievement for 2017 and overachieved my targets for quarter 1 2018. Along with that, one accomplishment that I'm really proud of is launching the first ever online lead retail platform for a luxury brand on Amazon in India, and it was also recognized globally by BMW Group. And what I do now is that I bring on hands on content building. So I have my own platform where I have built content systems across Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I've grown a community of over 30,000 and have generated over 6,800 watch hours on YouTube. So the reason why, again, I'm excited about this role, Josie, is because it combines these two strengths. I know how attention works, how to gain attention, and then more importantly, how to retain that. And I honestly believe that the Audi content cannot only just be beautiful, it has to create desire before purchase and build confidence during these consideration cycle. And my idea for this role is to not just increase followers for Audi Canada across the social media platforms, but also turn social media channels into an engine that really blows up the top half of the funnel where we can start getting customer inquiries and start getting people who are genuinely interested in our products, not just fans, but turning those fans into customers.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your background really does align with this role. That's great to hear.
Thank you.
And is it okay if I ask you what prompted you to explore new opportunities?
Absolutely. See, I have been working. I left my role at BMW in 2023, and for the last 3 years, I've been working as an independent marketing consultant who's purely working on content for small businesses here in Canada. And I love what I do. Content is something that I have hands on experience with over the last 3 years. So my entire life has been all about studying what makes people stop, what makes them swipe, what makes them save, share, comment, click, and then come back. And
Yeah.
What is really interesting about this opportunity and why I'm so keen to explore this role at Audi is because I can do that at scale. Right now, the way I have this set up is it is me who thinks about the concept, storytelling, and then I have a team of two editors back in India who do this for me. However, when I look at this role, I look at it as an opportunity where I can do this at scale, and it is far easier for me to capture people's attention when it comes to gorgeous looking cars, which people so strongly feel about. And I'm sure that you resonate with what I'm saying, because I did look you up on LinkedIn as well. You started your journey with the Volkswagen Group recently, so you know how passionate people are about cars and how emotionally driven they are. So just the expanse and the scale at which I can do things is where the magic lies, and that's something that I'm honestly super excited about.
Amazing. That is amazing to hear. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know you did definitely cover this a little bit, but I do want to give you an opportunity to answer every question that I do have, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And this question is, why are you interested in the opportunity? If you do want to take a stab at it, or if not, I know you have already given me great answers so far.
No, so the reason why I'm interested is that, like I mentioned earlier, the scale at which that I can operate and work with the team that I have. Also, when you do something, you look at the strengths that you have. I belong to luxury automotive. I have worked in luxury automotive across two different markets. I understand all the customer pain points. So when we are looking at creating content and really driving the Audi brand and brand values forward, I understand the touch points, and B, the pain points, more importantly, that the customer goes through. So if I can look at the CRM data, if I look at customer complaints, even if I look at Google reviews, I can pick up themes over there and create content which is going to be relevant to the audience. Because let's be honest, there is only that much that I can get in terms of engagement when I'm just showing cars and gorgeous looking cars. Of course, that's important, that gets attention. But at the same time, if you really want customers to become loyalists, you need to address their pain points and bring that level of storytelling and detail in a fun, engaging manner, which also enables people. So that's really that's the challenge that I'm most excited to handle and create content around that. Because eventually I understand that while I was doing the research, that Mercedes and BMW are literally they have double the amount of followers than Audi Canada, and that becomes an immediate goal to achieve. That how can we minimize and then overcome that number. But I'm not just looking at Audi Canada standalone. Can I outperform Audi US as well? And that's a big goal, because they have just a shade under 16 million followers. And that's the goal that I want to work towards. So that will require me to think out of the box and genuinely create content that people can resonate with. People can understand what's happening. I looked at Audi Canada's YouTube as well. There are about 23,000 followers there, or subscribers, and Audi USA has 500,000 followers. Why is there a gap? What is it that I can do? What I realized is that if I'm creating content, I can easily, short form content, which is reels, I can put that across YouTube Shorts. I can put that on TikTok at no additional effort or cost. And I can repurpose that content and use that as a distribution network. Immediately I will start getting more traction. What can I do with more seasonal information that is required to people? Because I also have a service background. So as you would see, and I'm sure that somewhere you would have also experienced this, that as our winters approach here in Canada, winter tires become a huge thing. So not just putting out an ad and saying that, hey, come and get your tires changed, but genuinely explaining to people that what's the difference between an all-weather tire and a winter tire, and why you should get an OEM tires, and why is this important. So picking up on all those little nuances, and I feel that I have an unfair advantage because I have worked within automotive and luxury automotive per se, and knowing these little customer touch points and pain points, I would be able to create content that resonates, and not make it boring that, oh my god, oh listen, now I have to see a video about tires. But that's where my storytelling comes in. That's where my experience of what I've done and how I've been able to grow my own community, that comes in. Because I'm not looking at content only from creating viral views and then getting this what do I say, looking into vanity matrix and saying that, hey, I had a reel or a video that crossed 1 million views. No, if that did not get any saves, shares, followers and clicks onto the website, then for me that's just vanity metrics. How do I actually convert attention into action? That's what I want to bring to the role.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, that's a great answer. Thank you. I do want to talk a little bit more about your core marketing experience though,
Yeah.
as well. So would you be able to tell me a little bit about how you would leverage your background in content marketing and apply it to this role?
How I would leverage my experience in content marketing and apply. So, as I see, it's the role is about content. So the idea is, like I said, so when I worked in BMW India for the Mini brand, at that time I was working as a marketing manager. The idea was to increase the market share, awareness, and visibility of the Mini brand. So that meant creating campaigns on Meta, that meant creating POS for the retailers, that meant creating dealer communication, that meant updating information on the company website so that if we are driving customers to the website, they have all the relevant information. CRM communication that goes out to owners, and this experience comes from when I was working in BMW Canada, ensuring that we are able to get all the BMW and Mini owners back into the service network to get their cars serviced instead of going to independent workshops. So leveraging what sort of communication that do we want to send out. At times it's always a mix of awareness, tactical advertising where you're pelting them with the customers with offers. So creating that mix between value and awareness and action is what I'm going to work on. I have already produced successful campaigns for brands, for BMW and Mini in India, like I mentioned, sorry, BMW and Mini in Canada, where through the my numbers, yeah, through 43 independent campaigns that I did with retailers, make them understand that what the offers are, created those campaign creatives for them. We were able to generate 6 million in service revenue, and overall our service leads grew by 17%. So bringing that information that turns into action, that's something that I've done. And my idea for this role is to be able to leverage all that experience that I have, understand the customer pain points when it comes to what the Audi customers are going through, create those into campaigns that actually move the business forward, and not just use social media as a vehicle to just send out information. But what information, the way we create content, is there a way I'm enabling you with information? Is there a way you can save that information, you can share that information and come back to it? Can I build more trust? Because Audi is an aspirational brand. There are so many people who would want to move to a luxury vehicle. So what does the ownership mean? What It's an emotional purchase. So what does it mean to own an Audi? Uh, Create campaigns around that, create content around that. That our biggest brand ambassadors are people who are driving our vehicles, which is our customers. So bringing out their stories, what do they love about their Audi, and then sharing that with the audience. Of course, we'll look into influencer marketing as well, where we have the right fit and we can promote the brand. However, for me, a lot of emphasis will also go on the owned experience that the customers are going through. That why are they the brand ambassadors? What have they loved about the journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, awesome. Would you have a specific example about a social media campaign that maybe you worked on that drove strong engagement or brand awareness? And would you be able to tell me how you made it successful and what your involvement in there was?
Absolutely. So I can talk about, and purely specific to the role and how I would categorize that is something that I have done recently. So, like I mentioned to you, that after I left the BMW Group Canada, I have been working as an independent content consultant and marketing consultant for small businesses. So, one of my clients is Kent Water Purification Systems. Now, in itself, the category is very boring. Can you imagine being looking at content where it comes to water purification? Do you even need that? So that was the challenge. That I mean, am I going to go to a follow-up page where they're only going to be talking about why do I need water purification systems? So what I did was I sat with the owners, really understood what the product is, understood that what do I need to educate customers about in order to be able to get some leads out of that. So
Yeah.
I created a content series where we spoke about that. Firstly, a lot of people think that if I buy bottled water, that is great and that solves the purpose. So how bottled water is actually not good for your health, because there is scientific facts that prove that as the water remains in a plastic bottle, there are microplastics that get leached into the water, which in the long term are extremely harmful to our health. So
Yeah.
created content around that where it became a Q&A that, hey, I am, if I keep my water bottle in the sun, is that water good enough to drink? Then it was a 7-part content series. That was one video. The second video is that we assume that when we go into the market, and if I buy a Fiji bottle or an Evian water versus what I buy at Costco, Kirkland water, is there a difference? Of course there is a difference, because it's packaged differently and it is marketed differently. However, what does not go away is the fact that there are microplastics which still get leached into the water, because there will be temperature changes. So what we did was, there is something called a TDS test. We created that TDS test. We poured these different waters into different glass, and then we did a TDS test to prove to people that how does this actually impact your health. Overall, I had one of the reels that exploded and it got over 1 million views. But that is not the cool part. The cool part is that through this series, there was a 16% sales growth for Kent Water Purification Systems in terms of the kind of leads that they got from this campaign. And the entire idea was, the thing is that I can talk about it with a lot of excitement, but I can send you videos, and I'd love to at some point just share these with the team and everyone for you to have a look at it and see that how I made it fun. And here is the truth, Josie, that I did the copywriting, the ideation, the storytelling, and I shot it. My team edited it, and all I needed was an iPhone and a mic to get this done with untrained actors, people who are actually business owners and they're talking about their product. So turning them into actors and creating genuinely interesting and engaging content. So if I can get that level of business growth interest while I just had a cell phone and access to a mic and an editor, if I have a team which is working on the content, I know that I would be able to create a far bigger impact and be able to do things at a much larger scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Your storytelling seems to be very compelling.
Thank you.
This is just my own curiosity. You said it was a 7-part series. How was your retention rate for that?
The retention rate, so overall what happened was that there is, and anytime you do this, there is one or two videos that go and explode. The rest, because at the end of the day, there is some, like water keeping your water bottle outside in the sun is something which is very universal, and everybody would be more curious to know, oh, what happened. That one particular reel got over 100,000 views. Then I also did another thing, because everybody does this. You would have seen that all of us love to invest in a Brita filter. And if you've ever read the label itself, it says on the label that this is not meant for water purification. I have a video there. So, it was news for me as well, because while I was shooting, I just picked up the filter and I was like, oh my God, I've been using this for the last 7 years. Then what does it actually do? And that reel went on to get over 50,000 views. And when it comes to retention, the idea is how retention works for me is I not necessarily am looking at saves and shares. While that is important to get to the number of views that you want to get, but what also matters is that what is the average view duration that the customer is looking at your video, and especially on Instagram. So the way I would edit the video is that I would have my first hook right at the beginning and then throw in a second hook at around 10 to 12 seconds so that I can go over 20 seconds, and as soon as I pass that threshold, I know that this video is going to get me at least 100,000 views. So out of the entire series that I did, overall the series garnered about 738,000 views, out of which two reels went over, one went over 150,000 and the other one 200,000. However, I would like to add in one more reel which actually blew up and got us over 1 million views. This was essentially an Indian Punjabi owner speaking in the Punjabi language, because I was like, okay, since we are reaching out to customers, I also want to bring in this fact where I can use ethnic marketing to connect with the customers as well. So we've had people, from South Asian backgrounds also talk about it, and in order to make it relevant, their experience relevant, we'd add captions. But this one particular reel got over 1 million views and got us over 1,000 subscribers and had a 36-second retention rate because of the way we edit it as well. It was very genuine, where somebody is sharing their own opinion that, yeah, when I came to Canada, this is what I was using, Brita, but I was going through this phase where my skin was constantly dry, my hair was constantly dry, so I didn't know how to manage that. And then I installed the Kent water purification system, and what it does is it removes the sulfur and magnesium content from water. That's really what forms a scalp on your head, and that's what causes the hair to be brittle and frizzy. Can you imagine me going and understanding all this firstly from the people to be able to create a story around it and then make it fun, not just make it boring, because itself water purification is not a very interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
So just trying to make that interesting, and that's how I've been able to grow that brand as well.
That was very interesting. You've sold me on their water filter. Thank you for humoring my personal question there.
You're most welcome.
I'm gonna stick to the script though. And this role, it also closely aligns with agencies. Do you have an example of when you managed agency partners and held them accountable for results?
Absolutely. So, all through my career at BMW, we always were working with agencies, whether it was working with one of the biggest agencies in the world, Ogilvy, in India, and over here in Canada, we were working with a boutique agency called Richmond Day. They're very big, and they handle. They initially started by handling Mini, and then after sales, and then now they handle the entire BMW account. So I've been working closely with them, and the idea is always to ensure that we create, firstly, from my standpoint, working in the OEM, I have to be accountable for the delivery timelines. So in order to do that, I can't independently just say that, oh, I want this done by this time. That's not how great teams work. I need to understand their process as well. How much time would they take to turn around a creative, and then bake that into the overall timelines of the campaign, having a very clear scope of work defined in terms of what are the do's and don'ts, so that there aren't any last minute headaches or heartaches. And once we've been able to align on the scope of work and the timelines, then it's just about making sure that there are no bottlenecks when it comes to approvals. I think the biggest element to having a successful relationship is open and transparent communication. The brief from my side needs to be as detailed as possible, so there is no ambiguity in terms of what I'm trying to achieve through the campaign that I want to roll out. So having those clear communication touch points, and also checking in weekly during our calls to be able to understand that how are we progressing on tasks, to make sure that everybody is accountable for hitting the agreed timelines. Because hey, product launches cannot be pushed because the campaigns are not created on time. So just making sure that we align what is important, what is urgent, and have a clearly defined scope. So that's how I work with agencies. And one thing that I'd like to add to how I work is, I love working with people. I think that's something that I enjoy the most, and especially agencies, because we work so closely, especially in marketing with the agencies, and you're so reliant on them. I think an open and transparent communication is key to building trust and creating great work. Because eventually, if you're fighting against timelines, the harsh truth is that you would end up compromising on something or the other. And eventually, if it compromises on quality, that's not acceptable. And especially when it comes to luxury, it's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, very well said. Communication is extremely important in that scenario. Thank you. And I know you did touch on this a little bit earlier, but have you managed marketing or content budgets, and what was the size of the budget?
I have managed marketing content size budgets for both at Mini India. It was without giving the exact figure, but I have managed six-figure budgets for both Mini in India and for service at BMW Group Canada. And it was a bigger budget because I was looking after both the Mini and the BMW brand.
Oh, yeah.
So that would require the not so fun part of the job, which is making sure that you're on top of all the budgets, making sure all the POs and requisitions are done on time. It's a tedious process, and I don't think any of us enjoy it, but it's important to be on top of it. So the weekly meetings also would, with the monthly powwows with the agencies, would include just going over the budget, so that you're not doing it right at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
My last question regarding your marketing experience is that the role requires creating compelling stories that strengthen Audi's brand connection with the customers. Do you have a campaign or a piece of content that you've developed that you're particularly proud of, or would it be the Kent water purification one?
No, so Kent water purification, definitely, and there is enough and more content that I have built myself as well. So what I do is, again, my content that I create is highly emotionally relevant, but not necessarily very fancy and attractive. So I help people communicate their value and what they bring to a role with more confidence, clarity, and control. So I create a lot of content around job search, and I have created content around that where I've done these series, and I try to build series because that's just one very interesting way to keep people engaged on how to land a job in the next 30 days. I try to go unconventional because a lot of people say this is what I would do and I would land a job in 7 days. Listen, you can talk about it with experience. You don't land a job in 7 days. It does take more time. How is it that you want to communicate that? So what does a winning resume look like? And a resume is something which is probably the most boring thing to make, but still it is the most important thing to make. How do you make a winning resume? Because eventually, what is the story that you're telling through your resume? You don't make your resume for the job, but you make your resume for the hiring manager, right? Communicating, how do you do that? So myself, I've created a couple of reels and videos that have garnered over 700,000 views, etc. And this entire series, if I share with you, it's gotten me about 500,000 views, one particular series that I've created, and it has gotten multiple thousands of saves, shares, because I've also created custom GPTs where I'm like, all right, you know what, if this is a custom GPT that I've made for you, and if you're really interested in finding out why somebody has rejected you, because I truly appreciate what you do, Josie, and I understand that you would have probably gotten over 1,000 or at least 500 emails for this particular role. How is it, you can't go back and reply to everyone. How do I stand out? How do I make sure that I get your attention? So, and if I don't get a reply from you that why did I got why I got rejected, then I created this GPT where all you need to do is upload your resume, upload your job description, and it will tell you exactly why you will not get hired, because the GPT is supposed to reject you and it will tell you where are the gaps. So, things like these I've created now with an element of if you are interested, I will send you this link, and that blew up. And it's all for free. I'm not charging people anything, but just capturing that attention and how does that work, showing how the GPT works. So just valuing attention, and while I'm editing it, I know that, all right, 3 seconds I need to change something in the screen, 3 seconds I need to add music. That's how I do things.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
In fact, it's I think because of security and privacy and data issues, when somebody is sent a link, probably I sent a link to Joseph as well. I have actually made a video of why I love this role, and I've put it as an unlisted link on YouTube. I would be happy to share it with you if you want to share it with Wes and with Joseph, because I can also look at it. As soon as somebody sees it, I would see the view count on it, because I guess it's data privacy issues, because I wanted to stand out in the interview process. Now, one thing is saying that, hey, I create content. The other thing is to actually show how I can create content. So I actually made a reel. It's a 2-minute, 30-second video that I've shared that why am I interested in this role. I'll be happy to flip the link to you. It's totally safe, and you can have a look at it, and that'll give you a perspective of who I am, what I do, more than what I've just shared with you.
Beautiful. Yes, you're welcome to do that after our call.
Absolutely.
That was my last question about your marketing experience, but I do have some questions about your technical skills. I know we did definitely probably cover most of these, but I do want to confirm with you that you're comfortable using Microsoft Suites and making presentations and presenting to a leadership team.
Yes, I am. I come from luxury automotive. I understand the importance of PowerPoint in our world. So a lot of time goes into that, making sure that you're informing not only internal stakeholders, but it is also updating the retailers about what is happening, and then updating the headquarters about the stuff that we're doing. So yeah, totally comfortable doing that, and I understand the standard and urgency and efficiency at which that needs to be done.
Perfect. Thank you for your confirmation. And then also, I know that you did mention this again, but just to confirm, you are very comfortable with the Meta platforms and utilizing them for managing social media, correct?
Yes, and to add to that, I am also looking at YouTube like a hawk, because that automatically is another thing that I would want to grow and scale, because while Meta is great in terms of visibility and quick action from a short form content perspective, I don't want to lose out on long form content, because that's where you build more trust, credibility, and engagement as well. So that's something that I'm looking at leveraging as well. One of my ideas is to make sure that to ask Joseph and Wesley that can we get assets from the US and start putting them on our YouTube channel without spending too much money, and making sure that we are able to grow the audience there.
Awesome. YouTube. Good to know. Thank you. I think we do work pretty closely with the US teams as well regarding content, so hopefully that wouldn't be an issue.
Amazing.
And also, this is not a requirement, but I am curious, do you have experience with creative tools such as Photoshop and other design software?
So I have what I use is I haven't used Photoshop, but I don't think it's going to be too difficult for me to learn that. I use Canva quite heavily. I can use I use edits to edit videos as well, and then I also use a lot of other softwares like Opus Clips. I would use Riverside FM, and I would use the Apple editor to edit videos as well. So, if there is dire straits where you need editing, I can do that. I can bring those skills. I've been able to learn that in the last 3 years.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you so much. That's it for my technical questions, but I do just want to make sure we're aligned about the logistics for the role.
Right.
So the role does require 3 days per week in office and 2 days working from home. So are you comfortable with that hybrid setup and collaborating across teams?
Yes.
Perfect. And it also requires 25% travel, including to different events such as photo shoots. Do you have a valid license and are you comfortable with this?
Yes, I am. And I'm
Perfect.
quite excited to do that as well, if given the opportunity, because there's a lot of content that can be generated through those events.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I do also just want to confirm your compensation expectations for this role.
I think you've listed that on the job profile, and given the experience that I get, I'm looking at the higher end of the bracket. So I'm aligned on what is the budget for the role, and happy if you can extend it, of course.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then lastly, I just wanted to ask you, would you be required to provide notice to anybody or you're currently self-employed?
I'm currently self-employed, so I don't have any notice period as such.
Okay, perfect. That is all my questions. Did you have any questions that maybe I can answer for you or potentially pass on to our...
Yes, a couple of them, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, firstly, wanted to understand what does the hiring process look like, and broadly, I understand that the goalpost is moving in terms of timelines, with a lot of things moving at the same time. But broadly, would you have an idea about what the process and the timeline looks like for this role?
Yeah, for sure. To be quite transparent for you, we have just begun our hiring process for this role.
Right.
So today was my first day of screenings. We haven't picked any other candidates yet, and after today, I'm going to hand off my screening notes to Wes, and he will be deciding who he wants to bring in for a meeting with him, and he would like to do an hour interview with those selected candidates, and then preceding that, it would be a meeting with Joseph as well.
Right.
So I think we would be looking at least a week for me to get those to Wes. And then I know he is going on vacation sometime later this month. So I'm not sure if he wants to be getting the role filled prior to his vacation or at the end of it. But hoping for this month for the role.
Fair enough. Thank you for that transparency. And I understand that the role obviously reports into Wes. So, is this a new role, or is this something where there is an opening that has come up because somebody has decided to move on to a different role?
Yeah, the role does relate to an existing vacancy within the company, so somebody did leave the role previously, I believe.
All right. And one more question, would you happen to know that based on whatever information that has been shared with you for this role, so what are the top, let's say, 3 priorities?
Priorities, I would say, is definitely that content creation. Something that's a big focus with that is storytelling. They're extremely focused on the candidate's ability to be able to tell a story. That's one of their top requirements for this role. And then also, what else is in our day-to-day? Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here.
No problem.
I know that there also is that travel, so attending photo shoots, and brand events and working with agencies and collaborating to create that content is also a big part of the day-to-day. But overall, there's a lot of variety and a lot of creativity between side events, whether you're being on set, whether you're planning for next year or new launches. There's not really a typical set in stone day. You know what I mean?
Got
There's
it.
a lot of
Got it. And you said that the round will, with Wes, you did mention that it is going to be like an hour-long interview. Now, is that in person or will that be virtual?
I believe he wanted to do it virtually, to
Okay.
my knowledge.
Perfect. That's completely. I'm okay with both, in fact. And this gives me. Thank you for the transparency in terms of timelines, because for me now, from now till I hear back from you, I'm going to make sure that I get started on what I want to present to Wes, because there is a clear idea I have in mind in terms of the things that I can immediately do, but also getting clarity from Wes would be important, because I'm sure that he and Joseph have an idea about how they want to see the brand progress and develop. So marrying those two is going to be important, but I don't want to come short of ideas and any storytelling skills. So instead of, like we had this conversation, I want to have my videos ready so that I can send them through. And if you don't mind, I will send you the YouTube link of the video that I have made. Please do have a look at it, and do share it with Wes as well, if you can.
Absolutely, I can definitely forward it to him. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciated learning a lot more about your background and all your experience. And I hope I was able to provide enough information, even though I don't work directly with that team.
You have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I have loved our conversation, and I have my fingers crossed, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And I would love to get an opportunity to get some FaceTime, whether it is in person or virtually, with Wes, to literally show what I can bring. Like I mentioned to you, this is my parting note, that I do feel that I have that unfair advantage of having had actual inside, working for an automotive luxury brand, and then having done content myself. And because I did it myself, I did it with absolutely no budget. I also understand the importance of storytelling, because not every time I wanted to pelt people with hooks, captions, people with editings, and just making sure that the storytelling part of it is interesting and engaging enough to drive more engagement. So I would love the opportunity to share that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye.